G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. On this video, we are going to finish the VL. I hope. So anyway, where we're at, we've got all the black pieces painted for the car. Everything's ready to go back on. So I'm going to try and wrap it all up in this one video. So as long as this video takes, that's what it's going to take. If this video is half an hour, it's half an hour. Who knows? The last video I had a comment on there about the side moulds, how I do that. So I'm going to go into a bit of detail on how I do that, how I prepare the moulds and things like that, and what you should be doing, yada yada, to put the moulds on. Same with the door handles. I'll do a little bit of a rundown on that in case you've got to replace a door handle or whatever because they get the door handle slap in them. So I'll go into a bit of detail on that. Once it's all assembled, then I've got to do a bit of polishing. So I may give a little bit of insight as to how I'm doing this particular car because every car is different. And obviously with budget and things like that, you've got to only sort of do what you can with what you're being paid to do. So I'm happy to show you what I'm doing on this particular car to polish it up and finish the paintwork off. So without yapping here too long, let's just get stuck straight into it and get this fucking thing done. Alright, so first things first, I'm going to put the door handles back in. So I can't actually show removing the handle, but it's pretty straightforward. Take your armrest off, which is the two long screws, you'll see those. Pop your window winder off, door trim off. You'll have to peel back the plastic protective film that's on the inside of the door. And then on the back of the handle, there's two 10mm nuts. One will go here, obviously, and one up the other end. So you remove those. This rod that you can see here will be connected in the handle through this hole, and it will have a little clip on it that looks like this. So it's got the hole on the bottom, so that will go onto your rod and it will face outwards, so with the little prong facing outwards, so it'll go like that on that rod. And basically when the rod is put through the mechanism of the handle and this little clip is on there, that will basically hold that rod onto the handle so it can't fall off. So to put these back in, which it is a pain in the ass, so I don't know how I'm going to go to start off with, but first things first, all your handles, if you're unsure, they are actually labelled. So if the camera will focus on it, down here, it's not going to focus on it, but they are actually labelled left hand, right hand, 1 and 2. So 2 being a rear door, 1 being a front door, and obviously left and your rights. So to put these in, obviously don't lose your clip because you're going to need it. Make sure you got your door handle gasket as well. You don't want to go putting your handle in and then realising you haven't put the gasket in. I mean, they're easy to slide in once the handle's sort of in there, but always easier just to throw it on before then. So what I like to do first off, before I even do anything, grab a bit of this stuff. So it's cloth tape, buy it at Bunnings, $5 a roll, and this is basically my insurance to not scratching and ruining this door. So normal masking tape won't cut it. Masking tape is too easily to obviously tear through it with sharp metal. So I don't recommend you use masking tape. Get some cloth tape. It's a lot more durable and it's not going to bite through it as easy. So this is your cheap insurance. So I would recommend getting a roll. And all I do is basically put the tape wherever you think is a possibility where you could scratch it. So I just cover it, obviously all around the opening. Like so. Because I don't want to be scratching doors and having to repaint fucking doors when I'm trying to get it finished. No one likes to scratch shit, so for a couple of dollars you can basically have a little bit of peace of mind, because these door handles can fight you. They will fight you. Dead set, I'll probably lose me shit and have to do an outtake here and have to edit it because I'll lose it. But it's been a little while since I've put them in, so you'll have to bear with me. Anyway, it's pretty well covered. I'm happy with that. So, grab your door handle, your clip. Now, this is the tricky part. So I don't lose that clip, I'll sit that there. So you can't just put your handle in and connect it up. The rod's got to go through it. And the way the rod is bent, the handle, you need to lift. I use this part of the handle here and I lift that up. So this part, obviously, that hole has to go over that rod. Now, you also cannot forget the clip, because if you put it on and you've forgotten the clip, when you open and shut the door, it's eventually going to come off. All right, so what we're going to do is you're going to grab your handle from the back using this little piece here. This is what I use to hold it. So grab it with your thumb, fully open it. Well, open it so that lever is, to the top of the door handle, like that. So hold that with your thumb, grab your little rod. Now the rod's got a little shape like this, all right? You've got to get it just on and around to the first little bend. So what you do is your handle actually goes in backwards, right? So door handle faces the door. Put your rod through the hole, slide the door handle in so it's right there on that little corner. So you can see how that's sitting on that corner. And then what you're going to do is you're then going to twist your door handle anti-clockwise, like so, and that's ready to go. So now, with that sitting there, I'll just sit that in there just so it's not going to fall around. So now you clip. So pull your handle out. So your clip now goes onto the rod. It's a bit tight to get your hands in, but you just got to take it easy because it's easy to drop this clip into the door. So put that clip on, and then that'll clip on there like that. Alright, so that door handle is now in. So we can take our tape off. Alright, so the tape's off. So now you'll get your gasket. I haven't been provided new gaskets for this, so the old ones are going on. So then you'll sit your gasket on to the handle, press it in. And then obviously now, I'll move you back. So I've obviously opened the door. Now, you'll see this area on the back of your door. So I'll go and grab a light so you can see. But this nut right here is easy to get to. To get this far one on, you will actually have to, what I do is loosen this striker and push it in, and it allows you enough room to get an extension bar in there with the 10mm to put that nut on. So I'll go and get a light and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Alright, so the door handle's in. Now this here is the easy one to get to. So I just put the 10mm in the socket because I'm trying to do this one-handed here, but and then I sit it on there, and I generally hold the handle from the back until I get a couple of turns in. So I'll put the phone down, I'll just get this started, and then we can I'll show you how to do the next one. Alright, so that's going to hold the door handle. Now we're going to pull that out. And what I was talking about before is these two screws. We're going to undo those, so take them completely out, and then we're going to push this mechanism forward so we can get the next nut in. So you've got to take them completely out, so you give yourself enough room to get the socket in. Pull him out. This next one up here. Otherwise, if you try and put this one in, going through this hole in the door, I mean, mate, unless you've got hands like a fucking newborn baby, I don't think you're going to really get in there. It's going to fight you to try and get in there. Alright, so now they're out. So they're out. So now we can push this mechanism across. We've actually got to take this one out too, I've just remembered. So take that out. And we can push it enough. Oh. And we can push it across enough where you can see him hiding in there. So I'll try and set this torch up. And now we'll get the next one and put the next one on. Alright, so as you can see, they can be a bit of a pain in the arse, but yeah, a few little tricks on how to do it, or really the only way you can do it, I believe. Otherwise, you'll pull your hair out trying to do it. And obviously getting the handle out is just basically a reversal of what I'm doing here. All this stuff would come out first, and you'd go from there. But that is how we put in the door handles. So I'm not going to film all four because it's the exact same to put all four of them in. But yeah, it's just, you got to have a little bit of patience and just be careful and you'll be right. Done. Alright, so, moment of truth. Look at that, beautiful. One down, 3 to go. So I'll get them knocked out. I'll get the other 3 in, and then I'll start putting all the moulds along the doors on. So let's get into it. Always something that's got to fuck you around. Come on, you bastard. It's always something. Always something. I've got the clip on the rod, so when I took the door handles out, I just popped the clip off and left the clip on the rod. Now it's worked its way down to the bottom of the rod. There we go. Never mind. I was going to carry on for nothing. Alright, so same again. You're going to grab your door handle, flip it over, hold her up. Put it onto your rod till you get it to that bend. Just trying to make some room here to twist this around. That light's sort of in my way. And done. Alright. So I'll peel this tape off. I'll put the gasket on, the 2 nuts on the back, and the door handles are now in the passenger side. So the other side, basically the same. I'm not going to film all 4 of them. It's the same process. So yeah, the 2 nuts on the back of the front handle are easy enough to get to. So yeah, I hope this has helped someone out. If you've already done this and you know how to do it, you've probably got absolutely nothing out of this bit, but hopefully there's someone that needed to see this or needed to be shown or whatever. So I'm going to bolt this up and get the other 2 in, and then we'll move on to the next thing. Alright, so we now have door handles and locks. So something else to tick off the list. I've done both sides. So they're all in. It's a bit dark over this side, but they're all in. So now I'm going to move on to the next step. And I think I'm going to put the rear quarter trims on and then put all the stainless moulds on. So let's keep cracking along.
Mate, do your fucking thing there. You're mucking around all day.
Put it on me, you fucking idiot. You got me in it. So I'm going to move on to putting these strips on, all the stainless. So what I'm going to do is all your clips on the back. We're going to slide those out. Like that. And then what I'm going to do, come in here. So we're going to put the clips on the rail first. Alright. So all them clips will go on the drip rail. Just space them out sort of as even as you can. So grab your clips and just sit them on like so. going to be able to get that one out. Because that mould's got a dent in it. There we go. Oh. Throw him up there. Space him out. Alright, so to put these on, what we've got to do is you've got to roll these on. So you want to set this lip onto the top of that mould, like that, and then we're going to roll the mould down to put it on. So we're basically going to sit the mould like that, and then you've got to roll it on like that. Screwdriver. You're right. Just dropping the guts there. You got to be patient with this and just take your time. Otherwise, you're going to make these moulds into spaghetti. I've already put this mould on, but because that's got a tuck under there, I've got to take this screw back out. Hopefully that'll give me enough room where I can slide that in. So it's going to tuck under there like that. Alright. I can add that in. Alright. That one there's not quite on properly. There's always one that's got to fucking fight that. Alright. Alright, that's it. Alright, come in here. Alright, so now we're going to put this quarter window on. So I'll grab that. So I've already put this mould on the trim, and this one's got to go down the bottom, but there is a little screw hole here, and that gets screwed right into that hole there. So what I've got to do is I've got to slide this mould up like that. So when I put this on, so there's a little clip here, right there, and that'll go into this little hole on this frame. So I'll put him in there like that. And then obviously on the back here, you've got 3 clips. Make sure they're all facing like that, or 2 clips actually, not 3. Make sure they're not, facing sideways like that, have them facing up. And they're going to go into these slots here. So, open that back door up. So that will sit like that. That all lines up. So what I'm going to do is, hopefully that's going to stay there. I'm going to get a screw and screw that in, now it's going to hold it there. And I'll have to slide that down a bit so I can push them clips in. Alright. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a screw in here. So that's going to hold it. Now we've got 3 screws in here, but I want to slide this mould down. Let me get some tape, I want to cover that because if that mould slips down. Alright. So I'm just going to put a bit of tape here just for peace of mind. That's that mould decides it wants to touch that paint. So it's going to go like that. And this top section. Flips over like that. And now that will push some clips in. Take our tape off. And that's on. So now we'll just put the 3 screws in here. And this side is all done, we're ready to put the belt moulds on. That's it.
Gee, Fucci forgot.
Right, so we're going to put the belt moulds on, so I'll just give them a quick wipe up. These are pretty simple to put on. So you just got the clips on the back here, 4 of them. They'll come around here. Sit that on like that. And then just give her a push down. That's all it is. So that one's on. If you're putting your security plates in, don't forget them because they've got to go in now. So all they do is just slide down there. Sit right there. They're on. And then exactly the same as the back, they've got the clips on them. Sit her on, push them down, and that's her, they're on. So I've got to sort some mirrors out now and get them on. Yeah, fucking give it here.
Fucking cockhead.
Alright, so that's all the belt moulds on, quarter trims on. Nearly all there now. I've got to sort some mirrors out because the ones that came off the car were fucked, so hopefully I've got a couple of mirrors here to put on it, otherwise I probably won't be able to put them on. So now we're going to come around this side. I won't film all this side because it's exactly the same as the other side. I'll get all these put on, and then once they're on, then we're going to start gluing the side moulds on and get them all on the car. And then once that's done, we'll move on to doing the rear end. So I'll get all these moulds put on the other side, and then I'll cut these back on when we're doing the side moulds. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put mirrors on. I found one, cleaned it up. I'll put this one on, so it's just the 3 screws on the back. You'll have to pop the little cover off on the inside to get to these screws if you're removing them, but I'm putting them on, so obviously that's already all off, so pretty easy to put on. I'll just take these screws out and we'll bang them in. Alright, so I've got the mirrors on, so everything's all on there now. All the trims are on, mirror on. Done this side as well, that's all done. Ended up digging out some mirrors, had to replace, switch the heads on a few to make a good one, but they're all done. Trims on. Beautiful. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put all the door moulds on. So we're going to glue these on. So what you're going to need is, I've just got a piece of 80 grit there, a couple of rolls of tape to stick them on once we glue them up. Now the sealant that I'm using is Sikaflex 221. You can use 227, that's for automotive as well, but the 221 is a more heavy duty adhesive sealant, so that's what I'm rolling with today. So to line them up, all we're doing is these indentations that you can see here. They just line up in this indentation on the door. So it's pretty hard to get it wrong, but that's what they're there for. So I'm going to start on the rear door. The reason why I do that is because it's the last fixed panel on the car. I don't really like starting on the guard, because if you stick the one on the guard and you've ever got to adjust the guard and move it up and down, your moulds aren't going to line up if you do have to do some adjustment. So I start on the rear door, then go to the front door, and then make sure the guard's lined up, and then do the guard mould. So what I'm going to do, or how I do it, I flip it over. So you can see where the factory's obviously put the urethane. There's double-sided tape along here, but I don't bother putting that on because the urethane is enough. That double-sided tape will fail before the urethane. So all I do is clean it all up, and then I get my 80 grit and I just rub it over where that old urethane is, just to give it a bit of tooth. It won't take much, just rough it up a little bit. I generally, once I've pulled them off, so like this here, I'll trim this flat, I'll trim it as neat as I can. So it's like this. And then we'll get the 80 grit. So I've just got my 80 grit, and I'll just go over it like that to rough it up. The urethane will stick like shit to a blanket, but I'll just do this just as an extra measure to make sure we're going to get good adhesion. Give it a blow off. Alright. Now you don't need to overload this where, you know, you're not fucking baking a cake. You don't want to smash it all on here so when you put the mould on it's oozing all out the ends of it. Just put a nice bead on it. Right where that old urethane is. Doesn't need to look pretty, you're not going to fucking see it. Along the bottom. Now you don't need to go too crazy with it, don't go overloading it, because if you ever got to take a mould off, it's going to be a nightmare. It's only a piece of plastic, it only needs enough on there to hold it so it's not going to fall off. Alright. That's about it. Alright. Get out of the way, mate. It's not edible. Alright, so we'll grab our tape, bring that with us, grab the mould. You might have to lean down though. On that, Matt. Get out of the way. Alright. So, as I said, all we're doing is lining that little piece of plastic right there up with that indent in the door. So you can basically sit your mould on like that. Sit it on, it'll nearly just fall into place. And obviously just pull your mould back so it's level with your door. Give it a push in. And it'll basically go right where it needs to go. So we've got a little bit coming out the top there. That's all good, we can clean that off. So as long as that's lined up in there, and there's one on the other end as well. So the edges of the moulds will line up with the edges of the doors, obviously. So once you get it into the right spot, you're good to rock and roll. So once it's on there, the Uri will hold it on there, but what I then like to do is get some tape, sit it on the mould, tape it to the door, just so it's not going to move because that's where I want it to stay. Because sometimes if you don't put the tape, the weight of the mould and the glue, it might want to move a little bit. Just double checking it all. Yep, we're good. Alright. So tape that up like that. I'll do the front one now. So I've cleaned most of this urethane off. There's a few little straggly bits, but just make sure it's clean. You know, don't go putting your urethane over dirt and shit. But I've already washed all these when I actually painted them. So there's not much urethane left on there. Most of that's already off. Right. So, and also with your front moulds, if you've got them all off, make sure you're putting the right front mould on the right door, because they are different. So the mould where it curves off on the edge like this, that goes to the front, so when you open the door it's not going to catch on the guard. They are generally labelled on the inside anyway, but if you're getting too keen and you don't bother reading the back of it, you don't want to be sticking the wrong mould on the wrong door. So when you open it, you're going to tear it straight off. This Sikaflex we just got it at Bunnings. You can buy it at Bunnings. You don't have to go to a paint shop, but it's about $30 or whatever at Bunnings. Sometimes the old paint shops are shut on the weekends. Like that. Front one. Get out of the way, mate. Come on, look out. You're going to watch too, are you? Alright, so same thing, line up the little indents with the door. Bit of pressure on it. Pull that back so it's level. The front mould on the front of the door, you want it pulled back just a tiny little bit, just so it gives you a bit of clearance when you open the door, so you don't open the door and tear the fucking mould off it. Yeah, mate. You go tape the back of it up. Look out, mate. Come on, look out. Look out, you me way. Look out. Alright, so I've got a bit of urethane coming out there, so I'll get some prep sol. So I'll just clean that off. Don't let it dry on there because it'll be a nightmare to get it off. Same deal as the other moulds, just right where the old shit is. So I'll just throw a bit on there, just for good measure. Fucking blind me. Urethane coming out here too. Anyway, I said don't load it up with urethane. I've gone ahead and fucking done it myself. Oh, well, no, there's plenty on there then. Just make sure you wash it off. Alright, that's her. Alright, so this side's done, so I'll move over to the other side and do the other side. I won't film the other side, but basically once you do this, leave it alone, don't touch it. Leave it for 24 hours, or at least, you know, overnight. Let it do its thing. Don't go getting all G'd up wanting to see it with the moulds on and peeling the tape off and it's not cured because the moulds may move. So that's how I do it. That's how I've always done it. Hopefully this answers any questions that you've got now that I've shown you how I do it. So I'll go to the other side now and we'll keep cracking along. Right, I'll shut it off.
Now she's done.
Alright, so I'm going to bang these taillight moulds on. So these moulds, if they're not all broken, you've got your little tabs. So they obviously go into your holes. And this top one here has a tiny little screw in it. So tiny, like that. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to sit these moulds in. And then when it's in, all I'm going to do is put a little drop of urethane on these pins from the inside once it's on there. So line her up, put him on. These will get out. So I've just put a little bit around on the inside in here. That'll just hold that in. That'll clip in like that. Alright. Alright, So other side, same again, put the pins in. And the mould will basically hold itself there because this end piece clips in, and all I'm doing is putting just a little dab on the inside here, like that. Oh, that pin's gone. So we'll try and make our own. And then what we'll do is just try and run it around the base of the pin there. And then what I'll do is I'll get this rag and just try and clean it up a little bit. Try and make it somewhat neat. Do that, and then it's probably hard to see. Trying to put that screwdriver. And then up the top, there's just a little screw that goes in the back of it there. So a screwdriver there. I don't know if you can get it on the camera. Probably not. But there's a little screw up the top here. And that's it, that's done. Alright, so I'm going to put the boot mould on. So I've just put a little bit of double-sided tape on here. Obviously a thicker tape would be ideal, but this is all I got. And it'll be fine to hold this on. So what I'm going to do is that's on there. I'm going to grab my Yuri, and all I'm going to do is just put a slight little dab on the end, just so if it's got to come off, it's easy to come off. Just like that. I'll put one in the guts. Just a little bit like that, plenty. Going? Alright, so it can't line right up to the edge of it because it's got to have enough over this side. Where's it sitting over there? Too far over this side. Take two. Alright. What I'll do is I'll put a bit of tape on the end where that Yuri is. One roughly in the middle. One at the end. And that's it. Alright, so continuing on. So the boot mould, I had a bit of a fuck up. I made a rookie mistake, didn't try to fit it. So the boot moulds on the VLs actually don't go from end to end on the boot lid. You've actually got to leave a little gap on the ends. So I put the double-sided tape on and just lined this one end up, stuck it on, and then come down this other end and realised it was too short. So I had to pull it back off and go again. So anyway, it's all sorted. I've put the Holden badge on. All I've done to put that on is I put some 18mm tape along the edge of the boot and some 18mm tape along the mould, and that was my measurement. So now I'm going to move on to putting the tail lights in because they turned up, thank fuck. So I'm going to jam these in and then polish the car up. I've got the side of it. Rub down a little bit. So all I've used to do this is, as I said, this isn't a $20,000 paint job. This isn't, you know, a big dollar paint job. So can only do what you're being paid for. So what I use to do that, I've got a final block set which you can buy from Melomotive in Melbourne. I bought these off eBay. And the good thing about these, if you're unsure, they actually have a description on the front, what grits to use with what blocks and things like that. And all I've used is some 2000 wet and dry, and I've given the car a light rub down just to knock shit out of the paint, you know, imperfections and things like that. I'm not trying to cut all the peel out. I'm not trying, you know, it's not a show car paint job. So that's all I'm doing on this car. So tail lights will go in, I'll polish that up, and the car's basically done. All I've got to do is paint a drop tank for it and fit it, but I don't think I'll film all that. So let's just get the tail lights in, get it polished up and get it finished. All right, so tail lights. So I've ordered these off Kingswood Country off eBay. And we've also got some new screws to put them in with. So the car is a Bellina. These are not factory Bellina tail lights. The owner didn't want the Bellina tail lights, he wanted these ones. So we've got new gaskets there, beautiful, beautiful. So that's what we're putting in. These are basically like a VL Group A tail light. That's what they're described as. So they're gonna look shit hot. So let's jam them in. All right, so that's the tail lights in, done. So new gaskets, lights in. Had to loosen the garnish to slot the tail light in, but they're all bolted in now, tight. What you can also do to help seal it, you can use like a mastic, like a even like a window sealer, something that's going to stay soft. So if you do ever need to take the tail lights out, you can take them out. You don't want to use urethane or anything on your tail lights because you're going to have a bad time trying to get them out. And it's not made for that. So anyway, that's all done. Back end is all finished. No boot lock in it because I don't have one. Holden badge on, that's all done. So the owner's going to put a boot lock in it and a Bellina badge on it. I have started polishing this side of the car. So as you can see, it's coming up pretty good. Not going too over the top with it, but just make it nice. So I'm going to keep polishing and get it wrapped up. All right, so all the polishing is now finished. Thank fuck for that. I've gone down the side of it. So it's about 5 o'clock now on Saturday night. So I'm probably going to wrap it up, go home, come back tomorrow, give the car a wash. And then basically all that's left is clean it up, put a coat of wax on it. It's finished. So I'll probably pull a pin on this video here because it's getting real long. It's an hour long, so I may do just a quick walk around video when it's all 100% finished, tanks in it, and I'll get it outside and do a bit of a walk around on it. But for now, this is going to do this video, so let me know what you think, if you like it being this long or not. Yeah, we'll go from there. So until the next one, cheers guys, I'll see you soon.